Hello, am I audible now? Okay. So today we have joined here to discuss MCQs on alkaloids. Okay. And we are soon starting with the same slide share. I'm just sharing the slide. Okay. So this is a short lecture on discussion of MCQs related to GPET, especially with the topic of alkaloids. Okay, so we will be discussing here 20 MCQs and let us see how these questions can be solved in GPAT. So the first question here comes is, which algae family? Okay, so now there are 4. Just take some time and think. Okay, so now if you have to see this type of a question, first thing that comes into mind is, are these 4 drugs belonging to alkaloids? That should be the first thing. So we can eliminate option if at all you don't know the answer. Okay, so now strophanthus is one drug which belongs to the class of glycosides. Okay, so automatically strophanthus will get cancelled out. So now the three remaining drugs are Rauwolfia, Vinca, and Nux vomica. Okay, so answer to this is, if you remember the source of Nux vomica, then it belongs to family Loganaceae. Okay, so answer is B, Nux vomica. Okay, now here the question was, which alkaloidal drug is not from the Apocyanation? So strophanthus is from Apocyanation, but it is a glycoside. Okay, so if this type of a question is there, then you should remember the taxonomic classification. That was one of the type of classification of alkaloids. It classifies vast number of alkaloids based on their distribution in various plant families. Okay, like say for example, Solanaceae families. For Solanaceae family we have Belladonna, Datura, Hyoscyamus, and Stramonium. Okay, then examples of Apocyanation are Vinca and Rauwolfia. Strophanthus is an glycoside with Apocyanation family. Okay, and Nux vomica belongs to Loganaceae. So if you know the taxonomic classification, then this type of question will be easy to answer. Next is opium contains -% of morphine. Okay, now opium is a alkaloid which belongs to the class of opium alkaloids. Okay, now this is a straightforward question and answer to this is 9%. Okay, so alkaloidal drugs has alkaloid content generally between 2 to 10%, and these all are between 2 to 10%. So in these type of question, you should the memorizing the percentage of the drug is the only option. Okay, so percentage of morphine present is 9%. Okay, now opium, just a small short information about opium. Okay, it is air dried milky latex obtained by incision of unripe capsules of Papaver somniferum, okay, belonging to family Papaveraceae. It is dried or partly dried by heat or spontaneous evaporation and worked into somewhat irregular shaped masses or molded into masses of uniform size and shape. Okay, now opium comes under the act of NDPS. So generally any of the drug is not adulterated with opium, because there are many regulatory guidelines that are being led upon opium cultivation. Okay, only some parts in some parts of India the permission is granted for cultivation of opium. Okay, generally what are the actions? They have narcotic, analgesic and sedative action in case of relieving high pain. Okay, now this is generally in case of burn patients, okay, where there is a severe pain. In that case opium is being given, okay, or opium derivatives are being given. Then they also have sedative or soporific effect. Codeine is mild sedative. Now these are other alkaloids that are obtained from opium. Okay, major chemical constituents are morphine, codeine, narcotine, papaverine, heroin. Now if you see carefully at the structures, codeine is the methoxy derivative of morphine, and heroin, if you see, it is a diacetyl derivative of morphine. Okay, so these are the 5 constituents, and this is the relation of morphine and heroin, codeine. Okay, next question. Fibrous fractures is the characteristic of which alkaloid? Okay, so now in this type of question, again the first question comes is like, what are fibrous fractures? Okay, so what are fractures? Basically, whenever a plant morphology is being studied, okay, the fractures are being studied. That means what are the striations that are present, okay, on the bark. Especially these fractures are on the bark surface. Okay, so now these 4 are the different types of bark that are given: cassia, cinchona, wild cherry and kurchi. Okay, now here the question is with respect to the drug which contains volatile oil. Okay, cassia, cinnamon. Okay, so we can eliminate this as far as we since we are talking about alkaloid, so this option can be eliminated. Now there are 3 different options left, that is cinchona, wild cherry and kurchi. Okay, now morphology, when you study, the answer for this is cinchona. Okay, cinchona is a very fibrous drug. Okay, if the inner part of the cinchona is seen, it contains lot of white fibers, brown colored fibers. Okay, so kurchi has brittle and splintery fracture. Cassia is under volatile oil, as I very rightly said. It is highly quilled bark, okay, with splintery fracture and longitudinal striations. Then cinchona has a short fracture in outer part, and it is a highly fibrous fracture in the inner part. Okay, wild cherry actually comes under glycosides. It has a short granular fracture with an highly exfoliating bark. So it is a very highly exfoliating bark. Now the next question which comes is alkaloidal drug which is not from Liliaceae family. Okay, so now there are 4 different drugs that are given here: curchi, colchicum, alloy and celia. Okay, so now if you see, alloy is from anthraquinone glycosides. Okay, and alloy anthraquinone glycosides majorly they belong to the family of Liliaceae. Okay, so now for the answer for this is kurchi, that has the biological source of Holarana antidysentrica. Okay, so kurchi does not belong to the family of Liliaceae. So again, this type of question, it is important that you know the biological source, then it becomes easy to answer this. It is a very straightforward question. Next is, which of the following does not contain steroidal alkaloid? Okay, so for this we need to understand the chemical classification of alkaloids. Okay, if you know the chemical classification, then this question becomes very easy. Okay, now as of now, if we consider this, the answer for this question is B, ephedra. It does not contain steroidal alkaloid. So now let us have a look at the classification, the chemical classification of alkaloids. Okay, so it is first class is containing pyrrole and pyrrolidine ring. Example for this is coca species. Okay, then second, now if you see here, I have written also the from where they are derived. Okay, here it is derived L-ornithine. So biosynthetic pathway, when we talk about, or we talk about biosynthetic classification of these particular alkaloids, so this is derived from ornithine. Okay, these all. Then propane alkaloids, if we talk about, example is atropine, hyoscine, cocaine, hyoscyamine, scopolamine. So these are all the example of propane alkaloids. Then similarly, pyrrolizidine, example is seniconin, elamine, symphytine. Okay. Then pyridine and piperidine, if we talk about, everyone is very much familiar with this ring, pyridine ring. And piperidine is what? Saturated form of pyridine ring. Okay. Now, which are the different alkaloids? That is aricoline, lobeline, trigonelline. Okay, aricoline is nothing but it is derived from areca nut. It is the benzpyrrole ring. Okay, so indole ring is nothing but a benzpyrrole ring. Now, indole examples is ergot. Okay, so ergometrine, ergotamine. Then reserpine, vinca, that is vincristine, vinblastine. Strychnine, brucine, that is nux vomica. Okay. Then quinoline alkaloids, if we see, that is nothing but again cinchona, cinchonine, cinchonidine. Okay. Then camptotheca, example is camptothecin. Okay. Alkaloid containing active constituent of camptotheca is camptothecin. Okay. Then next is imidazole, example is pilocarpus. Isoquinoline, tuvocurarine, opium alkaloids. Okay. They all contain isoquinoline ring. Okay, then phenanthrene, we have morphine codeine. Again, this is opium alkaloid. So this is in general the classification of alkaloids. Now, any question is asked on classification, with this chart, it will help you solve that question. Similarly, steroidal, if you see, so lanidine and conicin is an example. Okay, next question is Vitali-Morin reaction is for dash. So now if you see the general reaction or general chemical tests that are used for identification of alkaloids are what? They are nothing but Dragon-Roff's, Mayer's, Wagner's, okay, and picric acid test. So all these are the general tests which are being used for classification of alkaloids. Apart from this, different class of alkaloids also have general test. Okay, like say for example, anthraquinone alkaloids give Bontrager's test. Okay, then purine alkaloids give Murex-side reaction. So similarly, different type of alkaloid will also give different reaction. So similarly, here Dutura, Stramonium, Dubosia. If you see here, these are all from the class of same class. Okay, just now we saw they are all from the same class, and which is that class? That is tropane alkaloids. Okay, they come under the class of tropane alkaloids. So Vitali-Morin reaction will be given by whom? It will be given by all, because all belong to the same class of alkaloid. Okay, it is a general reaction for tropane alkaloids in which they are treated with fuming nitric acid followed by evaporation to dryness and addition of methanolic KOH to an acetone solution of nitrated residue. So what is obtained? Violet coloration will take place due to tropane derivative. So tropane derivative is going to give violet coloration. That is nothing but the Vitali-Morin reaction. Next is pilocarpine contains dash basic moiety. Okay, just now we saw the chemical classification of alkaloids. So anyone could answer this. Just try if you can answer this. Whether it is imidazole, isoxazole, imidazoline, or pyrazole. Now in this type again, isoxazole ring we did not see as of now in chemical classification. So you can eliminate this. Even we did not see pyrazole. What we saw was pyrrole. Okay. So answer to this is imidazole. So it belongs to which class? Imidazole, class of alkaloids. Vinca comes under which class of alkaloid? This is again a straightforward question. Okay. So answer is it comes under A, that is indole alkaloid. It comes under indole alkaloids. Okay. Which alkaloid is used to treat migraine? So ergot, Rauwolfia, curare, and physostigma. So in this type of question, think about the constituents or the active constituents which are responsible for this alkaloids. Okay. Now, if you say physostigma, what is the active alkaloid present? It is physostigmine. Ergot में it is ergotamine or ergometrine. Okay. Rauwolfia में it is reserpine. Okay. Curare में it is curarine. So now you will be able to correlate it and give the answer. So answer for this is ergotamine or ergot. Oh, okay, or ergotamine or ergometrine. They are used to treat migraine. Okay. Which of the alkaloids are liquid and volatile in nature? Okay. Again, in this type of question, if you cannot answer, you can apply logic. Okay. Morphine and papaverine, they are generally solid in nature. This everyone would be knowing. Why? Because we have studied, no, morphine, codeine, they come under NDPS Act. Okay. And what they are found in general form is they are found in powder. Okay. So they are found in solid form. Similarly, quinine sulfate, atropine sulfate, we have seen it, in Sutix, we have dissolved and formed drops out of it or solutions out of it. Okay. So again, if you see they are powder or solid in nature. So what is left? Nicotine and conine. Okay. So nicotine, you can apply logic if you don't know. Okay. These type of questions, or else highlight the drugs which are liquid in nature. Okay. There are two or three drugs totally in alkaloids which are liquid in nature. So whatever are the exceptions in a particular chapter, that should be taken as a point and noted down. So answer for this is nicotine and conine. Okay. Next question is heroin is what? Okay. Now what are the options? Dimethyl morphine, diacetyl morphine, butyl morphine, and diethyl morphine. So now remember codeine. Codeine was what? It was methoxymorphine. Okay. And heroin was what? It was diacetyl morphine. Just now only before some slides where I explained you the opium alkaloid, I had mentioned this. Okay. Heroin is diacetyl morphine and codeine is methoxymorphine. Now, which of the following is not an indole alkaloid? So, vinca we just now saw, okay, it was under indole. So now Rauwolfia, nux vomica, and erica. So what is the answer? It is erica. All the three belong to the class of indole alkaloids. Again, if you know just the taxonomical classification, you can answer this. Or chemical classification, if you know, then also you can answer this question. Okay, so chemical classification in case of alkaloids is very important for GPAT. Which of the following is known as proto-alkaloid? Now for this, you should first know what are proto-alkaloids, pseudo-alkaloids, true alkaloids. Okay. So if you know that, you can answer this. So answer for these is all of the above. How, that I will explain you in the next slide. So based on their shapes, they are classified into true alkaloids, proto-alkaloids, and pseudo-alkaloids. Now true alkaloids, this is based on the shape and origin. Okay. So the true alkaloid are derived from amino acid. Okay. And proto-alkaloids are not derived from amino acid. Okay. Now what is the difference between true alkaloid and proto? Now what happens is here, they are toxic in nature and they contain heterocyclic nitrogen, which is derived from amino acid and is always basic in nature. Okay, so in this case, heterocyclic nitrogen is always basic in nature and it is derived from amino acid. That is common for both. Normally, it is present in plant as salts of organic acid or N-oxides. The primary precursors for this are ornithine, lysine, phenylalanine, tyrosine, tryptophan, etc. These are all white and solid except for nicotine, which is a brown liquid. See, here the exception is coming. Okay, now what is the example for this? Quinine, morphine, and cocaine. Okay, these three are the examples for these true alkaloids. Now proto-alkaloids, what are they? They are also known as amino alkaloids or biological amines. So if you had that question as biological amines, then also the answer would be same acid, and it is not a part of the heterocyclic ring. So true and proto-alkaloid, the difference is in the case of true alkaloid, the nitrogen atom is part of the heterocyclic ring, and in case of proto-alkaloid, nitrogen atom is outside the heterocyclic ring, or it is not a part of the heterocyclic ring. Okay, these compounds are derived from tyrosine and tryptophan. They form a minority of all alkaloids. An example for this is aconite, ephedrine, colchicine, mescaline, and Baesia angustifolia. Okay, these are the examples. And lastly, we see pseudo-alkaloids. They are derived from precursors or postcursors of amino acids. Okay. Now, what do you mean by precursor or postcursor? So these are nothing but either the starting material okay, or not the end product as precursors or postcursors. They can also result from amination or transamination reactions. So biochemistry, we all have seen what are amination and transamination reactions of different pathways. It can be acetate or phenylalanine derived or terpenoid as well as steroidal alkaloids. They do not have typical characteristics of or characters of alkaloids, but give the standard qualitative test. Okay, now what are these standard qualitative tests? I just now told you. These are Dragon-Roth, okay, then Mayer's, Wagner's, Hager's. Okay, these four are known as standard qualitative test for alkaloids. An example for this is caffeine and conicin. So there are only as such two examples of pseudo alkaloids. So you should remember this very accurately, caffeine and conicin. Okay, so this we have in short learn about proto, pseudo, and true alkaloids. Now stratified cork is characteristic of what? Okay, so answer to this is Raulfia. Okay, Raulfia has stratified cork. Now if you don't know, I suppose if you don't know this answer, how will you guess it? Okay, now senna here is a leaf. Okay, we study the drug as a leaf. Then ephedra, we study it as a stem. Okay, and ergot, it is nothing but a sclerotium. We study the insect in ergot. So what is left? Raulfia, and Raulfia here is a bark. Okay, and bark has cork. So if you don't know in the first way, in the second way, think of the answer. Okay, here it was very easy to guess because one was leaf, one was stem, and one was derived from the insect. Okay, dried sclerotium we say, correct? So then in this case, Raulfia was the only bark, so you can answer this as Raulfia. If there is one more bark along with it, then you need to think. Okay. Then Ma Huang is a synonym of what? Again, this is a direct answer. Okay. And answer to this is ephedra. Okay. Devil's apple or thorn apple is the synonym of what? Okay. So now here, belladonna, stramonium, datura, hyoscyamus, they all belonging to the same class of alkaloids. Correct. So now datura, here datura means datura metal. Okay, datura metal, and here it is datura stramonium. So these are two varieties of datura. Okay, and your devil's apple or thorn apple is one of the synonym of datura only. Okay, so if you know that much, then the confusion remains in B and C, and answer to this is datura stramonium. Okay, so that is some Latin word why it is known as thorn apple. Okay. Alkaloidal drug used in treatment of gout and rheumatism. Okay, here the direct answer is colchicum. Okay, colchicum consists of colchicine. Okay, which is used in the treatment of rheumatism and gout. Anisocytic stomata are present in what? Okay, so now in this again, there are, see the options. There are 1, 2 leaves. Okay, even belladonna is a kind of a leaf. Okay, and stem. Here ephedra is a stem, but ephedra also contains stomata, that is it has sunken stomata that is being seen in the epidermis of ephedra. Okay, it is a stem, but still it represents some amount of stomata. Okay, so now in this type of question, again you have to think. Now senna has a parasitic kind of a stomata. Okay, so correct answer to this, so answer to this is belladonna. Okay, belladonna has anisocytic type of a stomata. Now what is these anisocytic? It has stomata. Say for example, these are the guard cells with stomata, and here 2 cells, 3 cells which are irregular in size are 3 epidermal cells. Okay, they which are irregular in size are being attached. Okay, in case of parasitic stomata, okay, there are parallel guard epidermal cells are attached parallelly to the guard cells. Okay, and in case of diacytic stomata, the epidermal cells are arranged perpendicular to the guard cells. Okay, so these are different types of stomata. Okay, there is one more type, that is anemocytic. Okay, so here the answer for this is characteristic is belladonna. See, there are only 3 to 4 leaves that has to be studied. Okay, so you should know each and every leaf and what is the particular type of stomata that is present in that leaf. Then microspheroid shaped calcium oxalate crystals are found in what? Okay, so answer to this is again belladonna. Okay, kurchi, if you see, it has prism, generally prism type of calcium oxalate crystals are seen. Okay, and then acicular crystals are also seen in some kind of drug. Okay, so different types such as rosate, prisms, then acicular type of calcium oxalate crystals are being observed. Now microspheroid crystals are specific for belladonna. What is Dragon reagent contain? Potassium iodide plus bismuth iodide, iodine, iodine plus potassium iodide, water, or mercury chloride plus potassium iodide in water. Now, if you see the reagents are little bit, these 4 reagents, what it can answer for this is A, potassium iodide plus bismuth iodide. In textbooks, you will find it as potassium bismuth iodide. That is nothing but potassium iodide plus bismuth iodide. So this answer is very easy, but in every option they have included iodine or iodide. Okay, so people might get confused, but if you know the reagent correctly, then you can break it up correctly. Okay, so it is very important to know reagent and breaking it up correctly, how it will be formed. Okay, so just note down the 4 different types of reagents which are used for general chemical test of alkaloids, and in front of that, what are the different reagents that will be what are the names of different reagents that will be used for preparation of that particular chemical test reagent. Okay, so here we come to end of 20 questions that were related to alkaloids. Okay, thank you.